Welcome to Backstage Pass, the podcast that takes you behind the velvet rope and into the heart of the music industry. You've probably heard the headlines, but today we're diving deep into Sean Diddy Combs' legal troubles.
Okay.
We've got articles from Pasted Text and Sky News, and we're going to unpack all the twists and turns of this high-stakes legal battle.
Fascinating case.
Just for you.
Yeah, it raises some really important questions about fame and fortune and the justice system all intersecting.
Right.
What happens when a music mogul is accused of serious crimes? Can you really prepare for a trial if you're behind bars?
Right, because this isn't just like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
We're talking racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking with allegations of coercion, abuse, and even silencing victims through violence and intimidation.
Exactly. Now, before we get too far, I know racketeering might sound like something straight out of a mob movie.
Yeah.
But in this context, it essentially means Diddy is accused of being involved in a criminal enterprise, like a structured group that commits crimes to make money. And the accusations are really serious, involving things like kidnapping, arson, and physical assaults.
So this isn't just a case of he said, she said.
Yeah.
These are very serious charges.
Absolutely. And Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and he's maintained his innocence throughout this whole thing.
Good for him.
His legal team has been really actively fighting to get him released on bail.
I see.
Arguing that he needs to be free to properly prepare for his defense.
Yep.
He's actually filed 3 separate bail requests.
3? Wow, that's persistent.
Yeah.
What happened with the first 2?
They were both denied. 2 separate judges determined that he was both a potential danger to the community and a flight risk, meaning they believe there's a chance he might try to flee the country to avoid the trial.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
But now there's a new bail request on the table.
There is.
And this one is for a whopping $50 million.
That's right. And this new request comes with a lot of strings attached. 24/7 security monitoring, limited contact with anyone except his lawyers, and of course that massive $50 million bond. So it seems his lawyers are really pulling out all the stops this time.
Yeah, they must think something has changed.
Yeah.
To make them think this time will be different.
They're claiming changed circumstances, arguing that new evidence has come to light that weakens the prosecution's case.
Interesting.
One key piece of evidence they're pointing to is a video from March 2016.
Okay.
Which allegedly shows Diddy assaulting his then-girlfriend.
Wait, there's an actual video of the assault.
Yeah, and this is where the battle of narratives really begins.
I see.
The defense is arguing that the video was actually taken during a consensual interaction.
Okay.
Part of what they're calling a freak-off, and not a coerced act of violence, as the prosecution claims. They're really trying to reframe how we see this event.
Yeah, like trying to change the context.
Exactly. So it really comes down to like how you interpret that video.
Right.
And of course, there's a lot more to the case than just that one video.
Yeah.
But, you know, the defense is trying to poke holes in the prosecution's story. And they're not stopping there. They're also bringing up those 30 civil cases against Diddy.
30. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Are they all connected to the criminal charges?
Not directly, no. But you have to wonder if they're trying to use them to, like, create some reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors. It's a risky move because it brings attention to Diddy's past behavior.
Right.
But it could be a way to suggest there's a pattern of false accusations.
I see.
Or that he's a target for these kinds of lawsuits.
So it's like, on one hand, you've got the defense trying to dismantle the prosecution's case piece by piece.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you've got the prosecution firing back with claims that Diddy's been trying to obstruct justice from jail.
Exactly.
Wow.
The prosecution is arguing that Diddy has been using his family to reach out to people who might be witnesses, maybe trying to influence what they say.
Okay.
And they're also pointing to what they see as a carefully planned social media campaign.
Interesting.
Maybe aimed at swaying public opinion and, by extension, potential jurors.
It's like there are 2 trials happening.
Yeah.
One in the courtroom and one in the court of public opinion.
Right. And this raises some really big questions about public perception in these high-profile cases.
Yeah, like, can you really have a fair trial when there's so much noise surrounding the case?
Exactly.
Makes you wonder about the ethics of trying to influence public opinion.
It's a gray area for sure.
Especially when there are such serious accusations involved.
But what's interesting here is that both sides clearly understand how powerful public opinion is, and they're both trying to use it to their advantage.
This kind of brings us back to that question.
Yeah.
How is the judge going to weigh these competing narratives?
Right.
and the concerns about Diddy possibly trying to obstruct justice.
Yeah. Will he be granted bail this time? It's tough to say. On the one hand, he's innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
And his lawyers are making a strong case that he needs to be free to get ready for trial. But the prosecution has raised some serious concerns about what might happen if he's released.
I see.
Remember, 2 judges have already said no to bail.
Yeah.
So the bar set pretty high for him to be released.
So that puts the judge in a really tough spot.
It does.
Trying to balance the right to a fair trial with the potential risk to the community and making sure the legal process isn't compromised.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it comes down to whether the judge believes this new evidence and the conditions of the bail are enough to outweigh those risks.
What stands out to you the most in all of this? What should our listeners really pay attention to?
For me, it's the level of detail the prosecution is giving about Diddy's alleged actions in jail. They've done their research, and they're presenting him as someone who can't be trusted to follow the rules even while he's facing these charges.
That's a pretty strong argument.
It is, and it's very different from how the defense is portraying him.
Right.
They're saying he's been wrongly accused and deserves a chance to fight for his freedom.
And we can't forget about those 30 civil cases.
Right.
They might not be directly related, but they add to the overall picture of Diddy and his actions.
Exactly.
And that could influence how people see the current allegations.
It all comes back to public perception.
Doesn't it? Even if he's found not guilty in the end, his reputation might already be damaged.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Public opinion can change quickly, and it can be hard to recover from.
Especially now with social media amplifying everything.
It's like that court is always in session.
So where does this leave us?
Rob.
We've got this famous person facing some very serious charges.
Yes.
A big legal battle is underway. And there's this big question about how the public sees all of this and how that affects the idea of justice.
We're right in the middle of a really complex and constantly changing situation.
Yeah.
Diddy's lawyers are doing everything they can to get him out of jail. Right.
While the prosecution is really pushing back hard, emphasizing what they see as a history of him trying to manipulate things and disregard the rules.
Okay.
How the judge decides on this bail hearing will be a turning point.
Yeah.
But no matter what happens, these questions about power, influence, and the court of public opinion will remain important.
Yeah. It's like we're watching a legal thriller in real life. With every new thing that happens, adding another layer of mystery to it.
Yeah.
We have Diddy, this music icon, now facing all these accusations and fighting for his freedom. And at the same time, he's trying to protect his image in the middle of all this controversy.
It's a reminder that even with all its rules and procedures, the justice system still operates in the real world where what the public thinks and what the media says can have a huge effect on what happens.
So what are the key things our listeners should take away from this?
What can we learn from Diddy's legal troubles and all this talk about influence and perception?
I think there are a few really important points to keep in mind. First, this case shows us that even with a lot of money and fame, facing serious criminal charges changes everything. The justice system has rules, and those rules apply to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. Second, the legal process itself is fascinating. We see the strategies each side is using, the arguments they make, the fight to control how the story is told both in and out of court. And finally, this case highlights how powerful public opinion is. And it raises ethical questions about whether it's right to try to manipulate it.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does.
Even if you have the right to a fair trial, what people think can still play a huge role, and sometimes that's unpredictable.
Absolutely.
Especially for someone like Diddy, whose career and legacy are tied to his public image.
Exactly, and this is just the beginning. The trial is still months away, and I'm sure there will be many more twists and turns before it's over.
Oh, yeah.
We have to see what the judge decides about this latest request for bail and how the defense and prosecution continue to build their paces. But one thing is certain. This is far from over.
This deep dive has been really insightful.
It has.
And I think we've all gained a better understanding of how complicated the legal system is and how power dynamics come into play when someone with fame and fortune is accused of serious crimes.
Definitely.
It really makes you think about what it means to try to influence public opinion.
It does.
And potential jurors in such a high-profile case. Something we should all consider.
Absolutely. This case reflects bigger questions about justice and accountability in our society. And the influence of the media and public perception.
Well, thanks for joining us for this first deep dive into Sean Diddy Combs' legal battles.
My pleasure.
We'll definitely keep following this story, and we'll be back with more insights and analysis as things develop.
Looking forward to it.
And remember, this is just one example of the stories we explore here on Backstage Pass.
That's right.
We go beyond the headlines to give you a deeper understanding of the music industry.
Yes.
And the people who make it what it is.
Absolutely.
Be sure to subscribe to Backstage Pass on YouTube and Spotify
Yes.
for more in-depth discussions and deep dives like this one. We'll see you next time.